How's it going, guys? It is starting to rain out here, of course, right when I start to walk outside to film a little bit. But I want to shoot a video on my drip irrigation that I'm using. I am using drip tape in the flower farm. This video might end up being a voiceover because I have some neighbors that are working on a project, so they have their skill saw going, and it is raining. So I'm going to try to shoot this quick, but I might take over with the voiceover. So let's jump into this. It was one of the easiest things to do, and it was super cheap. It was way more affordable than using the drip irrigation to buy drip tape, and I'll link everything down in the description below. So the very first thing you're gonna do is you gotta make sure you have water nearby. If not, you need to run water a little bit closer. You can do that just by running it off of a hose bib, and you can run it off of that. So we took a Y connector, and that way I can still have a hose connected to it. And then I have my drip timer on here. This is just a cheap Orbit one with a double faucet on here. I'm gonna have it so each one goes off separately, so that way I can get water to 3 beds and then water to 3 more beds right here. After you get this all set up, you wanna just leave it turned off until you have all of your beds prepped and this hooked up to it. So from the drip, I'm gonna connect this. This is a pressure regulator for 15 PSI because that is what the drip tape that I'm using can handle. And then after that, I'm gonna connect this elbow, and then I'm gonna connect this piece. This is going to make it so I can go from a hose bib fitting to drip tape. And I just push the drip tape into there, and I connect this to this. It is super easy to do. Just twisting that on there. Onto my elbow. So then I've got it connected to my elbow, which I have then connected. So my pressure regulator wasn't able to go to a hose piece, so I had to use an elbow for the size that my pressure regulator went to, down to a hose bib fitting. And from the hose bib fitting is when I connected this piece. This is a hose to drip adapter, and then this just connects on to the hose, onto the elbow right there. And then from there, I'll be able to just put the drip tape inside of that, and I'll be all set up to go. So this is going to connect. One is going to go this way, and then the other one that I have 2 of them, is going to go this way, like that. And each side will feed 3 beds. So most of my beds are already set up. I did this before filming, but I'm going to show you guys how we connected everything. So from the pressure regulator to this, I'll be connecting drip tape. So I take my drip tape, pretend this is a long piece, just go ahead and feed that into there, and it has some clamps in there that keep this locked in, and then this piece will run all the way down, and it's going to connect to a T-post right here. This T gets connected into there, and then it's hooked up to my drip. From this T, I want this piece to connect to an on-off valve, so I can turn each bed on and off individually if I don't have anything running there. From the on-off switch, I've got a little piece that connects to another T-post, and this runs down, and this runs straight. This is the end of my bed. This one piece goes straight down, and then this connects to another T that connects straight down, to another T that goes straight down, and an elbow that ends the bed. And then it goes down, and at the other end of the bed, let me show you what that looks like. So from all of that, I run my lines straight down. I'm doing 4 lines in a 4-foot bed. As you can see, I do my holes, a line, holes, a line, holes, a line, holes, and a line, and then another hole. So they're all evenly spaced. And then down here, this is an elbow to a T, to a T, to an elbow. You want it to completely be able to circle. You don't want the pressure to just come to an end and stop. That way it'll come here, and then it'll disperse evenly throughout each line. So back to this area right here, what I'm doing is I'm going to use this T that came directly from the hose bib, connects to this line, and then I'm going to run this straight down. I'm going to run another line of my drip tape all the way down to the next bed. Let me show you that. So that line will connect there, and it'll go over to this connection where I've done the exact same thing. You can see there's the T, and then I did my straight run to my on-off, to a straight run to the elbow, or to the T-post, and this is running in between the plants here. And then it runs down that way, just like that, and runs to an elbow. Back to this, I have my T, runs to a black line that then runs to the very last bed that I'm doing, which doesn't have a T. This just has an elbow that's connected to an on-off switch to this, because this is the third bed, and then I've got my same exact setup for each bed. So it's really not that hard. It's pretty straightforward. It just takes some time, but then each one of your beds has lines, and depending on how many holes, so like this bed is different from the first bed that I showed you. There's a line, there's holes, my drip line holes, and then I didn't do one here because there's basically one line feeds two beds, or feeds two rows. So this line feeds this row and this row, this line feeds this row and the middle row, then this line also feeds the middle row and the second row, and this last line feeds that row and the very last row. So basically you want one line per two rows if you can squeeze it, or in this case, this is two lines for 3 rows. But you want to make sure that there's drip on both sides of the line. After that, you'll have all of your beds set up and they'll all be looped and connected at the ends. Just kind of do the math for how many beds you have for what connections you need. I didn't know exactly what I needed, and I actually couldn't even find a video of anybody really using drip tape explaining it. So I will link everything that I used, and I ordered way too many parts of each thing. So each bed needs 5 T's and 3 elbows. Then you also need 1 on-off switch for each bed, and then 1 more T to connect it. And then I also bought some of this from Home Depot. It's drip irrigation. It has no holes in it, but I do have to heat the ends up with a torch just slightly to get it to fit into each connector. But that way, from this bed all the way over to that bed, there's no drip, there's no holes leaking anywhere. That way the water's all contained directly to each of these beds. So let me show you how easy it is to put the drip tape into these connectors. This is the drip tape that I'm using right here. It comes in about a 1,000-foot roll, and I need to connect this to here. Just squeeze that open like that. Plop this twist. I'm gonna twist this open all the way. Push this into there, and then you just twist it back down and it locks onto it, and it's not gonna go anywhere at all. If you messed up, all you do is loosen that back up, and then you can just pop it off real easy, just like that. So see how I just kinked that area right there? I'll probably go in and end up replacing that little piece right there, but it's super easy to replace pieces as you need. And what's really nice is all of these parts are reusable because they twist on and off and really secure and lock your drip tape down. So this right here is the drip tape that I used. It comes in 1,000 feet, which is way too much for what I needed. So I have a ton of it left over. You can see I probably have like half the roll left over. What you need to do is you need to measure the length of your bed and then 4 lines per bed if you're doing a 4-foot bed, which is what we're doing. We're doing 4-foot beds, and then I think all of our beds are like 26 feet or 27 feet long. So what I should have done, but I didn't know what I was doing, what I should have done was I should have measured the length of the bed and then times that by 4, plus adding a couple extra feet, and that'll tell me how much feet I need. So basically I should have ordered a little over 100 feet per bed, so like 120 feet just to be safe for mess ups and just to buy me some wiggle room. That would have given me like 450 feet is what I should have bought, but I bought 1,000 feet, so I literally used like half of this. What I did buy was the what does it say? It says light drip line. I probably would have in the future, I'll buy something that has a little bit thicker of a wall instead of something that's so thin. It can hold a little bit higher pressure regulator. Instead of 15 psi, you can go up to like 30 psi, so double. So now I just need to run my drip a little bit longer than what it says that I need to run it for. Hold on, I'm gonna wait for this wind to die down. So I'll probably run my drip for about 20-30 minutes versus like 15 minutes. So it's gonna go for double the length of time because less water is coming out. I did get the drip emitters that are every 6 inches versus every 12 inches. I have the 12-inch, no, I have 18-inch spaces on all my flower beds for the like hard drip lines that you buy from Home Depot, but I knew that these flowers are going to be so much closer. I'm spacing things about 6 inches. My dahlias are spaced out about 12 inches, but I want really good water saturation. This is a drip emitter right here, and then this is an emitter. They're built into the drip tubing, which is really nice. You don't have to add anything. This stuff was really easy to roll out. Basically, all I did was I took one end of it, I used a landscape staple, and I stapled it down on one end, and then I just unrolled it, and it comes right off, which was really, really nice to do. Didn't have to fuss with it. Like, the drip tubing that comes from Home Depot is usually super loose, and it kind of like goes everywhere. This stuff is on the roll, so it's really nice. What you can do is you can run a dowel right through the hole, and you can just walk with it, and then you just cut it at the end, staple the other end down. We did use landscape staples on this, which you don't want to do because you don't want to push it all the way down, but I used it and I left it raised up a couple inches off of this, so that way when drip turns on, it doesn't shake and my lines don't go everywhere. This will make it so that they stay where they're at, but they're not getting crushed. So if you're going to put landscape staples on, make sure that they're raised up from the drip, not pushed all the way down on the drip, because if it's pushed and it's pushed flat like this, no water is going to get through. What'll happen when there's no landscape staples is the drip will rise up like this, and it'll be a big solid circle. So you want to make sure that it's raised up a good decent ways from that. It's not squishing it, otherwise you're not going to get any water pressure. Yeah, it's really straightforward to use drip tape. Another thing is making sure that you're only running this in straight lines. This isn't stuff that you can like curve with. If you curve it, let me undo this. If you keep it in a straight line, that's fine. But the second you curve it, see how it bends like this, trying to like go around a corner. So it's not meant to be able to turn or go around bends. This is only for straight runs. This is not something that you want to be using on curves or anything like that. If you guys have any other questions on the drip line, it's super easy, it's super straightforward, and it's about half the price of things bought at Home Depot. I really like Drip Depot. That's where I bought all of this from. They shipped out like the next day if you order during the week. They ship out next day and you get your package really fast. I had actually under-ordered the elbows that I needed, and I placed my order and I had it within just a couple days. So highly recommend checking them out. I'll put all the links for every single item that I used in the description below this video. If you guys have any other questions, just let me know. Thanks for visiting our garden. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. The storms are coming, guys. I'm going in. If I had long hair, you could see it's blowing. It's so windy right now. I don't know if you guys can see it. You guys can't see anything. Oh, it's so windy. Storm is coming. Look at that. You can see the trees moving like crazy. I'm going inside.